Hi everybody, hi and welcome back to Visit Fylde Coast. You might have noticed that I've got a little bit of a pile of books in front of me here and they're courtesy of a very nice Cleveley's volunteer. So I was sort of thinking about how I could share them with you lovely people, because she's given them to me and I want to pass the kindness on. So I thought we'd do a little bit of a video browse round. Now I've not done anything with these books other than sort them into two piles. So this pile is kind of Fylde and this pile is kind of Blackpool. I've not looked through them, I've not rummaged in them. So I'm going to explore them with you guys. So before we get onto that, before we get onto the main menu, don't forget, make sure that you've subscribed to Visit Fylde Coast, make sure that you've hit the little bell for notifications and that you've signed up for your Visit Fylde Coast email newsletter as well, which is a fountain of all kinds of information about this lovely place. So we shall begin. Right, let's have a look, shall we? What have we got? Well, a couple of weeks ago, Sue, one of our town centre and beach cleaning volunteers, posted on Facebook that she'd got some books that were her late husband's and she was having a declutter. Did anybody want them? So I said, oh yes please, hands up. So anyway, we turned up at the beach clean and there she was with these cardboard boxes full of local history books. There was all kinds of stuff, really interesting. So thank you ever so much, Sue, for your generosity. And like I said, I wanted to share them with our lovely readers. So I think we'll start in Blackpool. So I'll just push that little pile of books over to one side and we'll start with this one, shall we? So we'll come on to that in a second. So there's all kinds of things. There's things like this. There's Blackpool, the People's Playground, and I've just literally pushed my fingers into that and opened it randomly to find a man with a hot dog. And this one is I think it's just a pictorial look through our lovely resort. So it's a picture book, look, it's a picture book, and this is produced, I think, by Blackpool Council. I think it might be, but that's a very interesting one. So we'll have another look at that. These I thought were quite interesting. I picked one of these up, and this is a Blackpool Transport depot visit, and it's a book of tickets that have been issued when people do conduct a tour of the depots. Tram depot entrance in Hopton Road. So I'm not sure what date they date back to, so if you know the answer to that, pop a comment underneath. And then we've got Leighton Village, which is one of these little pamphletty type things, and there's a nice map in there, nice pictorial kind of map, and there's loads of information in this one about Leighton and how it grew, because Leighton was one of the old original areas in I'm just seeing Oliver Cromwell mentioned here. Just a second, where's he gone? Lord Fleetwood was a royalist, and another one was Charles, who actually married Bridget, the daughter of Oliver Cromwell. Well, there you go. You didn't know we've got connections, did you? And this is Rakes Hall, which I am interested to read. I am interested to read this one, because look at that's just so late 1800s. Because Rakes Hall was the original pleasure place of Blackpool, and that was kind of where it all began. And it's sort of towards the back of Reeds Avenue, around about the area where the Blackpool Sixth Form, Blackpool Bispam, put my teeth in, Blackpool College University campus, that's what I'm trying to say, was. And that was a really big, I'm just looking for some pictures to show you. That was a really big, I mean there's a map there, look, you can see that. That was a really big area that was all laid out to pleasure gardens and entertainment. And because the seaside thing developed down at the seafront, that ended up going out of fashion. So you see, things always change. And then that's one about Blackpool Tower. So there's all kinds of things in there. That's a picture of, that was when it was used as a radar station during World War II. I knew it had been used as a radar station, but that's the photo to prove it. And my favourite, Charlie Caroli. I loved Charlie Caroli as a kid. He was absolutely my favourite. That's our Charlie Caroli striking up, listen. I'll be coming on this video in a minute. Muffin? Muffin? We're going to have to excuse me. I'll come back to you in a second. Look who's here. He's come to help me. He's a noisy little thing, honestly. Come on, sit down, good boy. Good boy. Now, I've got two booklets that look very similar here, and they're both about the Winter Gardens. So these are celebratory ones. This is for the 125th anniversary. And there's loads of pictures inside this one. All the old archive stuff. And then I bought this one. This is mine, this. And that's a celebratory anniversary one as well. And I can't quite remember why I got that one, unless it's a different version of the same kind of thing. But that is the go on, what's it called? The theatre, the Horseshoe Theatre. It's the Horseshoe Pavilion, that. So when you go into the Winter Gardens and you walk straight forward, and there's a door that's shut next to the restaurant, that's the theatre that's at the back of the restaurant when it was originally built. And round it were gardens, which is why it's called, yes, exactly, Muffin, which is why it's called the Winter Gardens. And this is the Blackpool story. So this is all about how Blackpool grew up as a resort and developed piers and all that kind of stuff, and trams, the advent of the trams, Sandhills to a space tower. Where's that? Switchback. Yeah, there were. I don't think you can see there. It says switchback. And switchbacks, I had to look it up because I didn't know what they were. And apparently they were the original fairground rides. And they were like an old sort of a souped up railway. So I would imagine they were very dangerous. I've not actually seen a picture of one. Maybe I should try and find one. But that's the promenade when it was originally built. Princess Museum, baths. I can't remember the baths ever being there. So yeah, there's such a lot that you just don't know. I mean, what little bit I know, I'd just scratch the surface. And then this is sent. I've just opened this randomly. This is images of Blackpool. This is a Gazette book, this. So this is the old Blackpool Central Railway Station, as was, and that was round about where Coral Island is now, and that's being redeveloped for this new leisure development. And that's Blackpool North, look, when it first opened. Goodness me. I don't know. Fascinating. It really, really interests me, all this, you know. Just a minute, I think I might have found Rake's Hall. Oh no, that's the miners' home, look, on the seafront. This one here. This one. That's the miners' home at North Shore, which is now converted into residential flats. It's where the tableaus are on the sea wall. Beautiful building, and this is a pearl of this one. He's going to sleep, looks that on my knee. I can feel him sagging. I can feel his body flopping. This is a pearl of this one. This is all about the comedy carpet and how the comedy carpet was built. So I was really pleased with this one. So thank you ever so much, Sue. Thank you ever so much. So it shows you, because it is all made of individual pieces of stone that are all cut and joined together, and you can see there they're making it. So you see, when I stand on the comedy carpet and tell you these things, it's fact. It's not made up. It's not made up. You can only wonder what kind of a headache they've got when they'd finished making that. It must have been an enormous job. Look at that. Look at that. So they've obviously cut all the pieces of stone and then set it in a stone surround. I shall have a good look at that and we will revisit that in more detail. So it's my plan over a period of time to have a good rummage through all these books and then share some of the content, because most of this general stuff is already covered on the website pages of Visit Fylde Coast. So some of it's on obviously Live Blackpool, some of it's on Visit Fleetwood, some of it's on Visit Cleveley. So we've got different websites for each geographical area with interesting local history on each one. So a lot of this is already covered, but not in obviously this amount of detail. It's just like a broad skim. So it's my intention to dive into these books and see what else there is. So this is the Fylde of Lancashire. This is a reader book, this one. There's not many pictures in that one. It's a reader book, and I just happened to have opened that at Rossall. Foundations of red sandstone and the remnant of an old ivied wall were visible near the edge of the cliff, all being sufficiently traceable to indicate that the mansion had been one of no mean dimensions. And that's talking about Rossall Hall, I think. Yeah, wow, that's a coincidence. Just to open it randomly at that page. 7 Golden Miles is the fantastic story of Blackpool. Oh, yes, says Muffin. So that's notable events and all kinds of interesting stuff. That's another reader book. There's not many pictures in that one either. And this is the Lytham St Anne's story. So that's an interesting one, and that's by Kathleen Eyre as well. I can't say I'm familiar with Kathleen Eyre, and she's obviously a prodigious writer. So I'll have to be looking her up. So there's all kinds of, because the Fylde was so rural, and there's loads of photographs of the old cottages and the types of places where people used to live. Cross Slack Farm, and these slacks are all where yes, exactly, where the water used to drain into, and there were all sort of low-lying marshland. And that is Lytham Pier. Did you know Lytham once had a pier? I knew Lytham once had a pier, but you very, very rarely see photographs of it. So that's Lytham Pier in its heyday, featuring one of the entrance kiosks and the cinema. It must be an early photograph taken before the floral hall at the far end of the jetty had been added. Regular steamer services ran to Southport, Llandudno, Fleetwood and Barrow by the Lytham Shipping Company. Wowzer. And this is another one about the Fylde. What's that? Promenade and Sands, Cleveley. Goodness me. Now, Catherine Rothwell is a very well-known authoress. And here's one of the Isle of Man steamer leaving Fleetwood. Look at that. Are you going? Are you leaving us? Eh? No, you're just having a look. Okay. That's the Isle of Man steamer leaving Fleetwood. Goodness me. Can you remember this? I think this was the old RNLI lifeboat house. Can't see properly to read it. Which I remember on the seafront is going. It's going, it's Say bye-bye, Muffin. Bye-bye, Muffin. And this is another one by Kathleen Eyre, and then another Catherine Rothwell. So this one is another picture book, and this is absolutely packed with old cottages. Quite amazing. Old cottages in all the sorts of places where people would have once lived and how they were built. Huh. Goodness me. The Sangronans, which is what local people are known as, were still building cottages like this one at Hardhorn as late as the 1770s, made of clay, timber, cobbles from the beach and straw. Look at that. Wouldn't quite meet today's modern building regs, that, would it? Wow. It's just fascinating. All these people, all gone. And that's Wharton, Peg and Post Mill. Funnily enough, I've just been reading something about Wharton this morning. That's an old, early windmill remnant. All that remains now standing on spare land at Mill Lane in Wharton. Wow. And this is Fleetwood as it was. And I seem to have got 2 copies of this. So this one seems to be 1975 and this one is 1976. So presumably this book was so popular that it made 2 versions with a different ship on the cover. What's that? Oh, it's Fleetwood, I think. Just a second. Yeah, it is. Wow, I've not seen that one before. Look at that. Look at that. That's the Fleetwood back in the day. So you can see the ships on the dock with the steamers. Reckon the finest in the country when it was opened on the 15th of July 1883. So that must be the station building. Goodness me, that is amazing. So I think this is where the Esplanade is now, this bit here. Wow. Oh, goodness me. I've got work to do and I could just sit all day reading these. I could just sit all day. And this is appropriate because the railway, hopefully, will be reopened in years to come. And the railway in Fleetwood, there's various different ones in this book. Let's see if we can find the Fleetwood one. Oh, I think they're in alphabetical order. Let's have a look for F for Fleetwood. Priestle Station. It must be in here, surely. Surely it must be in here. Markham, Oldham, Pennington, Ormskirk. Told you I'd not looked in these books, didn't I? Oh, here we go, Fleetwood. I've seen that one before. That's the inside of Fleetwood railway station. And that is Thornton for Cleveland's back in the day. So the Thornton railway station is still there now. But it's on a disused line currently. So that's it when it was open, and that's how we ended up being called Thornton Cleveland's. So there you go. There you go. There's even Wigan in here. Rochdale. Preston and Wyre Railway. Oh, goodness. Look at that. The Helter Skelter at South Shore, Blackpool. That's a Bobby Dazzler, isn't it? That's a Bobby Dazzler, that. And this is how you used to get to the lakes. Look at this. Can you imagine me going to the lakes on a steamer? Cheapest and most direct route to Furness and the Lake District via Fleetwood by the fine steamer. Sales daily, Sundays excepted, between Fleetwood and Peel Pier in connection with the Lancashire and Yorkshire and the Furness Railway Companies. For particulars, see Bradshaw's Guide or small bills at the station. So there you go. That's interesting. And then we've got Wonderlands by the Waves. This is us, look, today in our bloomers paddling at the seaside. Sea bathing from the Hole in the Wall. That, of course, is at the Gin. Wow. And this is a Fleetwood one. So this is all about the resort of Fleetwood. So these are the poor people who you have the unenviable job of going out to sea on relatively small fishing boats and trying to catch our food. And then there's a book about Fleetwood. the Queen's Theatre. Fascinating. Here comes Snuffly Muffly. Crown Hotel. The Crown Hotel. Postcards. We've got postcards as well. That's Cleveley's. I've just randomly opened it. Look, that's the Cleveley's clock shelter. There, that's got to be our clock shelter, surely. Let's have a look. Victoria Road, Cleveley, circa 1947. A post-war card of the popular open air area and clock tower. And this is against the sea wall. And this is where they used to do the open air shows. I've not seen that one before. That's lovely. Postcards of North Fylde. We've got a copy of this, Healthy Cleveley's. Plan of Thornton and Cleveley's, and just look how unbuilt up it is. I'm not sure. It's reproduction from, I think, round about 1940, 30, 40, something like that. Cleveley's Hotel, long gone Cleveley's Hotel. And then finally, last but not least, Maritime Fleetwood. And this is full of pictures of the boats and the ships that used to dock in Fleetwood. Little tug there, look, that used to pull the boats in and out of the dock. So I thought it was quite an interesting, goodness me. This is the Isle of Man Steam Packet Company's steamer in 1979, docked in Fleetwood. So look at the size of the ships that used to come in. I can remember the ferries coming in and they looked enormous when you saw them against the sea wall. But when you think what used to happen in these parts, and in another 100 years they'll be saying exactly the same about us. They'll be saying, can you remember in 2022 when they had the Queen's Diamond Jubilee and everybody had picnics and street parties, and they'd not long had a COVID pandemic, so they were a bit like that about what they could do and what they couldn't do. And they did this and they did that, and they had a tram parade on the seafront at Blackpool. And today what we're doing will become history, just like all this has. Very interesting. So I hope you've enjoyed that little saunter through a pile of books with courtesy of Sue. We'll see if we can pick out some interesting bits from it, and obviously it will all be credited back to where it came from, to the source. And don't forget to make sure that you've done the subscribe and the bell and all the like stuff as well, because it really helps us to get more viewers and share the good word about the great stuff that happens in this part of the world. So thank you ever so much for watching, and until next time, we will see you again. Bye for now.